book 7, the book of yoga, is the longest book in part 2 of Savitri. And almost all of it was just written from scratch in about 1946, so at a late stage of the composition. Only this first canto, which we're going to start today, was based on an earlier version from the 1920s. So the first part tells about the joy of union, how Savitri is married to Shraddhavan and they live together in the forest. And at first she's extremely happy, but then as time passes and the rainy season comes, she realizes that time is passing and there's only 1 year, and then it begins to become very, very difficult for her. That is described in this canto. Fate followed her foreseen, immutable road. Man's hopes and longings build the journeying wheels that bear the body of his destiny and lead his blind will towards an unknown goal. His fate within him shapes his acts and rules. Its face and form already are born in him. Its parentage is in his secret soul. Here, matter seems to mold the body's life, and the soul follows where its nature drives. Nature and fate compel his free will's choice. But greater spirits, this balance can reverse and make the soul the artist of its fate. This is the mystic truth our ignorance hides. Doom is a passage for our inborn force. Our ordeal is the hidden spirit's choice. Ananke is our being's own decree. All was fulfilled, the heart of Savitri, flower sweet and adamant, passionate and calm, had chosen, and on her strength's unbending road forced to its issue the long cosmic curve. Once more she sat behind loud hastening hooves. A speed of armored squadrons and a voice far heard of chariots bore her from her home. A couchant earth wakened in its dumb muse, looked up at her from a vast indolence. Hills wallowing in a bright haze, large lands that lolled at ease beneath the summer heavens. Region on region, spacious in the sun, cities like chrysolites in the wide blaze, and yellow rivers pacing lion-maned led to the Shalwa marches' emerald line. A happy front to iron vastnesses and austere peaks and Titan solitudes. Once more was near the fair and fated place, the borders gleaming with the grove's delight, where first she met the face of Satyavan, and he saw, like one waking into a dream, some timeless beauty and reality, the moon gold sweetness of heaven's earth-born child. The past receded and the future neared. Far now behind lay Madra's spacious halls, the white carved pillars, the cool dim alcoves, the tinged mosaic of the crystal floors, the towered pavilions, the wind-rippled pools, and gardens humming with the murmur of bees. Forgotten soon, or a pale memory, the fountains plash in the white stone-bound pool, the thoughtful noontides brooding solemn trance, the colonnades dream grey in the quiet eve, the slow moonrise gliding in front of night. Left far behind were now the faces known, the happy silken babble on laughter's lips, and the close clinging clasp of intimate hands, and adoration's light in cherished eyes, offered to the one sovereign of their life. Nature's primeval loneliness was here. Here only was the voice of bird and beast. The ascetic's exile in the dim-souled, huge, inhuman forest, far from cheerful sound of man's blithe converse and his crowded days. You'll begin, Suresh?
Take forward the coursing, immutable road. Man's hopes and longings build the journeying wheels that bear the body of his destiny, and there is blind will towards an unknown goal.
Yes. So we were reading about fate. We were in the book of fate. Now we finished it last week. Here Aurobindo's making a link. No? All the questions have been asked and answered, and Narad has told Aswapati's mother, don't interfere between her and between Savitri and her fate. So now we are moving on in the story. We are seeing how that fate unrolls, how fate, Savitri's fate, followed her foreseen, immutable road. That road of fate is fixed. It can't be changed. It's immutable. It has been foreseen. It has been seen in advance on other planes. No? It's something. So that path is fixed and only everybody has to follow it. No? And then Aurobindo says that when we are traveling that road, it's our own hopes and longings, our wishes, that build the wheels of our chariot that are carrying us along that road, the journeying wheels that are carrying the body of his destiny, of his fate. It's as if there's a shape, a form which is his destiny, and that's being carried along the road. And it's those hopes and longings that lead the blind will of the human being towards a goal, a destination that he doesn't know, he doesn't see it. Man's will is blind, it doesn't see where those hopes and longings are leading, but that goal has already been fixed, it's foreseen, it's immutable. And he's going to continue a few more lines explaining to us about fate. Bebel, you'll read. Immutable, sorry. What is mutable can change. What is immutable can't be changed. Sorry, Bebel. Yeah.
His fate is implicit and shapes his acts and rules. Its face and form already are born in him. Its parentage is in his secret soul. Here matter seems to mold the body's life, and the soul follows where its nature lies.
And the next line, please.
Nature and fate compel his free will's choice.
Yes. So a human being, any human being, the fate within shapes his acts, rules his life. We don't know what that fate is, but that's what determines what we do. It rules the course of our life. And when we are born, that the face and the form of our fate, of our destiny, are born in us from the beginning, very beginning of our life. The parentage, the father and mother of this fate lies in our secret soul. That's where the fate is born from the soul. Here, when we are born into our human form, it seems as if matter, the material world, is shaping the life of the body and determining what happens to us and what we have to do, no? And as if the soul has to follow, no? Where the nature drives. Nature and fate, these two things interacting, compel what we think is our free will. Human beings, we feel that we have free will, that we have to choose, that we are compelled to make choices. And the way that we choose is determined by an interaction between the fate, which is our soul's choice, and the action of nature. That's true for most of us. But Sri Aurobindo says it's not true for everybody. Bhavana?
But greater spirits, this balance can reverse and make the soul the artist of its fate.
Continue.
This is the mystic truth our ignorance hides. Doom is a passage for our inborn force. Our ordeal is a hidden spirit's choice. Anarchy is our being's own decree.
Yes. So for ordinary human beings, the course of our life is determined by our destiny, but our destiny influenced by the play of nature. But in more developed beings, greater spirits, Savitri is a much greater spirit, they can reverse that. Instead of the soul having to follow nature, nature has to follow the choice of the soul. No? Make the soul becomes the artist. He shapes his fate the way he wants it to be. No? He says this is the mystic truth our ignorance hides. We don't see this happening, this mystic truth, because we are ignorant and there are so many things that we cannot see. Doom. Doom is fate. Fate with a very dark face, the worst thing that can happen. No? But he says these disasters, doom, things we think that nobody could possibly choose, the soul has chosen that as a passage for our inborn force, for the soul's strength to be able to come out and express itself in the world. And our ordeal, an ordeal is a very, very painful, difficult test that we have to pass through. But that ordeal is the hidden spirit's choice. The spirit within us has chosen to pass through that ordeal, and probably even has chosen the form that the ordeal will take. So all that's very interesting if we can understand and remember that. Yes, sir. Oh, sorry about Ananke. Yes, Ananke is our being's own decree. Ananke is the name that the ancient Greeks gave. They thought of her as a goddess of necessity. Necessity, what has to be, what cannot be avoided. They were very afraid of Ananke. And it's said that when she appeared in the halls of the gods on Olympus, the gods would turn their faces away. They didn't want her to notice them. Yeah. Necessity, Ananke. But look what Sri Aurobindo is saying here. He's saying that necessity that we have to face, that can't be avoided. Our own being has decreed that necessity for us. So this is the way it is with Savitri. Dhamara, you'll read, please. Passionate, calm, calm.
Harsh, choosing and unpure.
Strengths,
Unwinding rod, force to its visit, that long cosmic growth.
yes. So all was fulfilled that Savitri's heart has chosen. And then he has this lovely line about Savitri. Savitri's heart. He says it's sweet like a flower, and at the same time it's adamant. It's so firm and strong. Somebody who is adamant, you cannot make them change their mind. She is passionate, she has intense feelings, but at the same time her heart is very, very calm. It's calm and intense at the same time. So this is the heart that has made this choice. And everything that her heart has chosen is being forced to its issue, to its outcome, on her strength's unbending road. The road goes straight. It doesn't go this way and that way. So it's a long cosmic curve. It has a universal significance, an evolutionary significance. Cosmos is the universe. Cosmic, universal. Mahalingam.
Once more, she sat behind loud hastening hoofs. The speed of armored squadrons and a voice warfare and chariot bore her from her pole.
Yes, so this is her marriage procession. And they have a long way to go. That kingdom of Madra is up in the hills somewhere up near where Peshawar is now in Pakistan, and the Hindu Kush there. And Shalwa is in the Terai of western Nepal. So it's a long journey that has to be made. And this time, the first time she went alone, but this time there's a whole escort, armored squadrons, many, many soldiers escorting the marriage procession, and her father and mother are going along with her. So the noise of all those chariots and horses and people, this can be heard for a long distance. This is the escort that carries her from her home in Madra. That time she had been driving herself, at least that's how she's shown in the pictures, behind the loud hastening hooves. The hooves are the feet of the horses, and of course they make a sound, and they're traveling fast, hastening. So this is happening for the second time, but this time it's many people carrying her along. Joel.
The cushioned earth wakened its dumb muse, looked up at her from a vast indolence, hills wallowing in a bright haze, large lands that lolled at ease beneath the summer heavens, region on region spacious in the sun, cities like chrysolites in the white blaze, and yellow rivers pacing lion mane, led but to the Charlois march, emerald line, a happy front to iron vastnesses, and austere peaks and titan solitudes.
Yes. It's summer. And he says the earth is feeling lazy, indolence, laziness, vast laziness of the earth. But that earth which is lying down, couchant means lying down. It's a word from French, and it's a word that has come into the English language through the language of heraldry. Heraldry, you know, is when knights going into battle, they have their shields and their flags so that they can be recognized. Yeah? And each of them has their symbols on their shields and their flags. This was true even in the Mahabharata times. In the stories it tells that I think Arjuna had an ape on his flag and so on. So one of the things in the European heraldry that is shown, many of them have lions. And those lions, they may be with their paws up and their claws out. This is rampant. When they are ramping, they are being very lively. Or they may be walking. Or they may be lying down peacefully. Couchant means lying down. So the earth is lying down. And it gets wakened up by this tremendous noise of all this procession passing. And he says the earth looked up. She's wondering what is happening. And he describes that vast indolence, that laziness of the summer earth. The hills, they also seem to be wallowing like animals rolling in the mud. But there they are in a bright haze. In the summertime, when the air is very hot, it will be hazy. We can't see very, very clearly. There's dust in the air, and also the air gets heated up so that it shimmers, it moves. We don't see clearly. And they come out into the plains, the large lands that lolled. This also means lying down lazily, at ease, beneath the summer heavens, the hot, bright sky of summer. And they pass through several regions, region on region, one territory after another, but all of them are in the plains. They are spacious, wide, the sun is beating down. Each of them has, of course, their cities. He says the cities look like golden gemstones, a chrysolite. It's a kind of gemstone which is golden in color. So they are reflecting that sunlight, the cities. And they cross over or pass over rivers. You know how the wide rivers of India, they are carrying lots of silt. So he says they are yellow rivers, like lions. No, they have their lion mane, the wide sandy banks. So these are the scenes that lead them, that they pass on their journey towards the border lines of Shalva. This word marches. This is the borderlands. And when they come to the borderlands of the kingdom of Shalva, which is where Satyavan's father used to be king, it's an emerald line. There are many trees, forest. And he says that emerald line, the borderlands of Shalva, is a happy front, a smiling, happy beginning. Behind are the grey high Himalayas. They can see them, these iron vastnesses. They are grey like metal, the immense mountain range with those austere peaks, mountain peaks, Titan solitudes. Nobody lives there in the high mountains, and everything's on a vast scale. And those peaks have no trees or any soft lines about them. They are very austere, severe, and plain looking.
The iron vastness is iron.
So partly it's the color. The iron has that kind of grey color. When you see the mountains from a distance, they look as if they could be made out of metal. And the other thing is that rock is very, very hard and strong, like iron. Bom, you would read? Have you got the place? Once more, yes.
Once more was near Canto and painted place. The border gleaming with the blue flag. Therefore she met the face of Satyavan, and he saw like one waking into a dream. Some timeless beauty and purity. The moon gold swiftly saw the heaven of China.
Thank you. So Savitri recognizes that they're coming very near to the place where she met Satyavan first. It was a beautiful place, fated, a fair and fated place, the destined meeting place. The borders of the forest gleaming with the grove's delight. Groves are open spaces that are shaded by the trees. That was the place where she first met the face of Satyavan. Of course, when she saw this human face of Satyavan, she knew that she had known him through many, many lives before. And he, seeing her, felt as if he's waking into a dream. He's waking up, but what he's waking up into is a dream of some timeless beauty and reality. She's a beauty that is beyond the passage of time. There's something immortal about it. And although it's waking up into a dream, he feels that it is something very, very real. So what he saw was this moon gold sweetness of heaven's earth-born child. It's Savitri. She's born on earth, but she's a child of heaven. She has this characteristic, lovely, pale gold complexion and aura. The moon gold sweetness of heaven's earth-born child.
Generally the moon is compared with silver. Here is
Yes, but sometimes the moon can look golden, no? Yeah. It depends. So, silver is the conventional, what we say, oh, the moon is silver. but here several times he speaks about Savitri's moon gold feet. Yeah. Lela, you will read?
The past receded, and the future mirrored. Far now behind lay Madra's spacious halls, the white carved pillars, the cool dim alcoves, the tinged mosaic of the crystal floors, the towers, pavilions, the
wind ripple
pools, and gardens humming with the murmur of bees. Forgotten soon, or a pale memory, the fountains splash in the white stone-bound pool, the thoughtful noontides brooding soul and trance, the colonnades green, grey in the quiet eve, the slow moonrise gliding in front of night.
So this is the past. The past is fading away, and the future is drawing near to her. And what is lying in the past is her home in the kingdom of Madra. That's far away behind her now. But he gives a description of that lovely palace with its spacious halls, very wide, large rooms, white carved pillars, cool, dim alcoves. An alcove is a little recess of a big room. You'll have a little, a smaller room that goes off it, and maybe that room doesn't have any windows. It's a cool, dim, private sort of space. The floors are made of wonderful stone with colors. Mosaic is when we make a picture out of stones of many, many colors. So. And then out in the garden, pavilions, towered pavilions, especially for the hot season. They would have these pavilions with many, many openings so that the wind could pass through. One could go up there and it would be cool, towered pavilions. And also to help cool the palace, pools of water. So when the wind passes, it makes those pools a ripple, there's a nice sound, and the air becomes cool. And then he mentions the times of day in the noontide, the hottest time of day. That's a kind of sleepy time. The morning's work is done, people are resting, so it's a thoughtful time, brooding, solemn trance. Some things are not moving much in the midday heat. And in the evening, the quiet evening, then it's nice to walk in the colonnades, where that's a covered walkway with pillars on it, on this one side, the open side. To walk there in the quiet grey shadows of the evening. And you can maybe watch the moon coming up slowly. It's coming up. It must be the new moon. It's coming up in the evening ahead of the night. The moonrise that's coming up. Nice picture. Sergei.
Let foggified go now the faces known. A heavy silken fellow on the laughter speaks, and the close clinging clasp of intimate hands, and adoration's light in cherished eyes, offered to the one sovereign of their life.
Yes. So it's not only the beautiful buildings that are left behind, it's the companionship, all her friends there in the forest, in the palace. The happy silken babble. Babbling is actually it's the typical of the sound of water running over stones. But we also say of children that they babble, they just go on talking, and it's like a little stream. So among her girlfriends it must have been like that, no? This happy silken babble chattering away, no? Laughing also. And those girls were very, very fond of her. So they would hold hands, the close, clinging clasp of intimate hands, close friends. No? And they would look at her. She cherished them. She loves them also. When you cherish something, it means that you love it and value it and take care of it. But in the eyes of those cherished friends around her, she would see adoration. That was the way that they look at her. She is the sovereign, the ruler of their life. No? So that is all far away now. Whose turn to read? Ganga Lakshmi? Yes.
Nature prima loneliness what here only was the voice of bird and bees. The ascetic exile in a dim soul urge.
Huge.
In human forest, far from cheerful sound of men,
Live.
Converse in his crown days.
Yes. Nature's primeval loneliness. Nature as it was far, far back in the beginning when there weren't any human beings. That loneliness of nature. And the only voices now are heard, not human voices, not silken babble on laughter's lips, but the voices of birds and the voices of animals, beasts. Maybe there are tigers in those forests. And this is a place where the ascetics will go, the hermits who want to leave human life. They will go into exile away from human habitations into this huge forest, very, very big forest, which is inhuman. It is not connected with human life in any way. It's just growing its own life, no? And that forest is very far from that cheerful, happy sound of man's blithe converse. Blithe is a nice word. It means carefree. Yeah? Joyful, glad, and because you're free of care. So there's something cheerful about human voices. No? But also the crowded days of man, all the activities and the people. Now the forest is so far from all that.
In a broad eve, with one red eye of cloud, through a narrow opening, a green flowered cleft, out of the stare of sky and soil they came, into a mighty home, emerald dusk.
So they arrive at evening time. Broad evening, quiet sky. And there they can see, they look back at the plains, they can see the wide horizon. The sun is setting. There's one red eye of cloud there. And they enter the forest through a narrow opening between the trees. And it's green and there are flowers. A cleft it means a narrow opening, something that's been as if been cut through. Out of the stare of sky and soil, they come into that shady space where there are flowers, grass, trees. They came into the forest, this mighty home of emerald dusk. It is shady under the trees, and of course now it's becoming evening.
There onward, led by a faint brooding path, which toiled through the shadow of enormous trunks, and under arches, misers of sunshine, they saw low-thatched roofs of a hermitage, huddled beneath a patch of azure hue in a sunlit clearing that seemed the outbreak of a glad smile in the forest's monstrous heart, a rude refuge of the thought and will of man, watched by the crowding giants of the wood.
So when they come into the forest, there's a path. It's not a very clear path. It's a faint path. Not many people use it. No? And it also seems to be brooding. It is in this quiet, meditative state. And this path has to make its way through the shadow of enormous trunks, huge tree trunks. It has to find its way through. And it's the branches of the trees are like the arches of a gigantic building. Arches, misers of sunshine. They don't let the sunshine through. They hold onto it. So following that path, eventually they come to a place where they see the thatched roofs, peaked roofs of a hermitage. A few people are staying there. King Dyumatsena and his family and some other hermits. They are camping there in these simple thatched huts, which are close together, huddled, close together, beneath a patch of azure blue. They are in an opening in the forest where the sky can be seen, the wonderful blue sky. And there's still sunlight in that clearing. And when they've been in the shadow of those enormous trees, that sunlit open space, he says, seemed like a smile coming in the heart of the forest, that monstrous in the sense of being on such a huge scale. This is a rude refuge. It's not a very, very civilized place. These are just very simple huts, but there human beings are living. It's the refuge of the thought and will of man, something human in that inhuman forest. And round it, as if the crowding giants, these huge trees, are watching what goes on here in this little clearing where human life is going on. So that's a good place for us to stop. for today. So shall we read these lines together?
Fate followed her foreseen, immutable road. Man's hopes and longings build the journeying wheels that bear the body of his destiny and lead his blind will towards an unknown goal. His fate within him shapes his acts and rules. Its face and form already are born in him. Its parentage is in his secret soul. Here matter seems to mould the body's life, and the soul follows where its nature drives. Nature and fate compel his free will's choice. But greater spirits this balance can reverse and make the soul the artist of its fate. This is the mystic truth our ignorance hides. Doom is a passage for our inborn force. Our ordeal is the hidden spirit's choice. Ananke is our being's own decree. All was fulfilled, the heart of Savitri, flower sweet and adamant, passionate and calm, had chosen, and on her strength's unbending road forced to its issue the long cosmic curve. Once more she sat behind loud hastening hooves. A speed of armoured squadrons and a voice far heard of chariots bore her from her home. A couchant earth, wakened in its dumb muse, looked up at her from a vast indolence. Hills wallowing in a bright haze, large lands that lolled at ease beneath the summer heavens, region on region spacious in the sun, cities like chrysolites in the wide blaze, and yellow rivers pacing lion-maned, led to the Shalwa march's emerald line, a happy front to iron vastnesses and austere peaks and Titan solitudes. Once more was near the fair and fated place, the borders gleaming with the grove's delight, where first she met the face of Satyavan, and he saw, like one waking into a dream, some timeless beauty and reality, the moon-gold sweetness of heaven's earth-born child. The past receded, and the future neared. Far now behind lay Madra's spacious halls, the white carved pillars, the cool dim alcoves, the tinged mosaic of the crystal floors, the towered pavilions, the wind-rippled pools, and gardens humming with the murmur of bees. Forgotten soon, or a pale memory, the fountains plash in the white stone-bound pool. The thoughtful noontide's brooding solemn trance. The colonnades dream grey in the quiet eve. The slow moonrise gliding in front of night. Left far behind were now the faces known, the happy silken babble on laughter's lips, and the close clinging clasp of intimate hands, and adoration's light in cherished eyes, offered to the one sovereign of their life. Nature's primeval loneliness was here. Here only was the voice of bird and beast. The ascetic's exile in the dim-souled, huge, inhuman forest, far from cheerful sound of man's blithe converse and his crowded days. In a broad eve, with one red eye of cloud, through a narrow opening, a green-flowered cleft, out of the stare of sky and soil they came, into a mighty home of emerald dusk. There, onward led by a faint brooding path, which toiled through the shadow of enormous trunks, and under arches misers of sunshine, they saw low thatched roofs of a hermitage, huddled beneath a patch of azure hue, in a sunlit clearing that seemed the outbreak of a glad smile in the forest's monstrous heart. A rude refuge of the thought and will of man, watched by the crowding giants of the wood.